Hey folks, this is Mary. Welcome back to my channel. This is another episode of Swatching Sunday. Thank you so much for joining me. I made some coffee earlier this morning and I drank all of it. So I wanted to make myself some more coffee to drink while I was filming, and I didn't necessarily feel like making a whole pot of coffee again. So I just put some grounds in a coffee filter and kind of dunked them in some hot water. It did not go well. I don't recommend trying that. Just use the coffee maker. Whichever coffee maker you have. They all work fine, so just use them. And I have this glass nib pen that I misplaced for a little while. So I bought this one as a replacement, and they're slightly different models. You can see one is a little bit bigger than the other. But I also thought that the nibs looked a little bit different. So I just wanted to compare those. The nib on the blue pen is significantly larger. It's bigger around than the nib on the red pen. So I thought I would use the blue pen today. I've used the blue pen before, but I just wanted to use it knowing that the nib is a different shape, just to see if it, holds more ink, if it writes better, whatever. Now, the one thing I really love about this red pen is the cap threads onto the back of the pen, so it makes a solid unit. This cap does not thread onto the pen, and I don't like that. I mean, the pen is long enough that you can hold it comfortably, and you don't need to put the cap on, but I like that this cap is attached. So, anyway. Just some thoughts about my pens today. So I have a stack of freshly made swatching cards, and I'm ready to go. And I think last time we finished with Diamine Classic Green. So we're just going to get started here, and today's first ink is Noodler's Burgundy, and I'm going to take off that horrible old label and replace it. And my neighbor is revving up something outside. I don't know if you can hear that or not. It's a fairly nice day outside today, so I'm sure people are going to be outside doing all kinds of noisy things. So that's okay. Oh, and I forgot my sample holder again, so I'll just use this Big Daddy, because he worked just fine last time. And let's see. Ooh, I feel like I got to get myself straight here. Okay, everything in its place. Alrighty. Oh, nope, I keep wanting to dip the swab. That is not the first step. The first step is to dip the nib, the very large nib. So, this is Noodler's Burgundy. That is very nice. And uh-oh, I've already got an ink all over my fingers. It wouldn't be fountain pen time if I didn't have ink all over if I didn't have ink all over my fingers. That's okay. It's half the fun. Painters have paint on their hands, and inkers have ink on their hands. Are we inkers? Are we penners, or are we inkers? Okay. And speaking of paint, I was watching my favorite show this morning, which is CBS Sunday Morning, and they had a piece about Bob Ross on there. And I just recently watched a documentary about him. It was really interesting. I didn't realize that he had died from cancer. But he was quite a guy, and a man after my own heart. Just very sweet and friendly and gentle, and, well, I don't know if I would call myself gentle, but I'm certainly friendly. Or I try to be. Okay. So there is our first ink, Noodler's Burgundy, and we'll set him aside. Oh, I gotta ink up his little lid here. And you might wonder why I'm dabbing. These labels are not the most ink resistant stuff in the world, and if I go around it too much, it kind of makes the paper pill. So if I dab it, then I don't get that pilling. Did you know that paper pills and clothespin. All right, now we have Robert Oster Dragon's Night. Ooh. I think I used this when I did my, you know, my marathon of blue inks, my 91 inks, 91 days last year. But do I have two samples? Is this the same sample? I don't know. We're just going to move forward. And where did this come from? Pen Chalet. I don't remember. I just remember doing the video. I don't know. I'm confused. That's okay. Robert Oster. This ink seems really thick. It's really clinging to the nib. Dragons. Ooh. See, I press too hard when I write, and that makes the paper slide around. It's an ongoing issue for me. I know I shouldn't press so hard. I've been doing that as long as I've been writing. Ooh. It turned the water a lovely bluish purple color. Ooh. Well, kind of pale, but fun. Let's see. All right, now for our swab. Gosh, what was I watching the other day? Oh, I think it was a Goulet video, a really old one, about ink swatching. And he said to really saturate your Q-tip so you get a good swatch. But the samples are so small. I don't always want to saturate my Q-tip. Oh, well, this one already has a label on there, but I always like to kind of redo them to see if it's the same color. Wow, that is really wet. I have to say, most Robert Oster inks don't seem very wet to me, but this one is just running all over the place. It is super duper wet. I mean, it is like raised up from the paper. There's such a puddle on there. So that should dry very interestingly. I'm already seeing some red sheen coming out on there. So, I'm having a terrible time deciding which Robert Oster inks to get, but maybe this one needs to go to the top of the list. Because I'm not a huge fan of dry inks. Is anybody a huge fan of dry inks? I don't know. If you're a fan of dry ink, please tell me why, and please tell me how you use it. Because it doesn't seem to make sense to me. It seems to make the pens feel rough and sluggish. I don't know. Unless you have a gusher of a pen, like Pelican pens, I suppose. So next up we have Ferris Wheel Press Grape Ice Pop. I was trying to say Grace Ice Pops. No, that is not correct. And you know what? I think I was just looking at some ink samples online the other night, and I might have ordered a sample of Grape Ice Pop from Van Ness. Oh, no, I don't think I did. I had a whole bunch of stuff in my cart, and I was taking stuff out. So I think I took out all the Ferris Wheel Press, which is good, because I already have a sample. I don't need another sample. Okay, what am I doing? What was I talking about? Wet inks, yes. So Robert Oster inks seem very dry, but that Dragon's Night just seemed to flow very nicely. Ooh, much too much ink. Okay, this is Ferris Wheel. Ooh, can I squeeze it in? Press. Grape Ice Pop. Now I have to say, I don't know what grape ice pops that you enjoyed as a child, but the ones that I ate, I don't think they looked this color. This one is looking kind of burgundy. I mean, the grape popsicles that I had as a kid were kind of blue, like really dark blue. Wow. Yeah, I would not call this grape ice pop. That's just me, in my own ice pop experience. So I would love to know what your ice pop experience has been. It's a nice color. Maybe a little bit close to that Noodler's burgundy, but we'll compare those at the end after they've dried. So yeah, this one is just kind of spreading out into one big lake of ink. Interesting. Oh, shoot. I keep forgetting to do the lid. And grapes come in different colors. But, you know, I guess we think about, I mean, like grape juice. White grape juice is juice that's squeezed with no skins in it. And dark grape juice is juice that's squeezed with the skins in, right? And that's the same way that wine is made. White wine is the squeezed grapes and they're fermented with no skins. And red wine is wine that's fermented with the skins in. What am I doing? Oh, this is Vinta Inks Mascara. Ooh, I had this in a Twisby Go before with a stub nib and I loved it. But for some reason I don't have a swatch card of it. I just filled up a pen and wrote with it. And no swatch card. So shame on me. That is not the way we do things. So what did I say this? This is Vinta. And I'm not getting much ink on here. Vinta Inks Mascara. Reminds me of those commercials for, oh, what brand is it? It's Lancome or something. It's one of the fancy brands. And this man is doing a voiceover and he's talking about the mascara. The new ultra plumping mascara. Which I think is funny. But anyway. This, I think, is a beautiful ink. It's very light. And it starts off kind of blue, and then it finishes up kind of purple. And I just love it. And I'm going to get a bottle of this one of these days. But I'm proud of myself. I've actually used quite a bit of this sample. I'm terrible about not using samples. But I have used this one, and I quite enjoyed it. And I really like these kind of pastel-y inks. I like writing with them in my journal, but as you know, this is February, which is International Correspondence Writing Month, and I've been writing letters to people, and I don't think that it makes very readable letters. Do you know what I'm saying? So if I write a letter to a person with this Vinta ink, I think they might have trouble reading it. Now, when I write in my journal, I don't have any trouble reading it because I'm used to it and I like it, but I don't know. I would just be interested to know what the recipients of my letters think of this ink as far as readability. But it is very interesting. It's one of those multi-shading inks. It's pink and blue and purple, and oh, I love it. This is definitely on my wish list of inks that I would like to get. I mean, inks that I would like to get a bottle of. I obviously have a sample of it. But there is a bottle somewhere in my future. All right, next up we have Robert Oster Peppermint. Ooh, and there's some condensation in there. I don't know what that means. That doesn't seem good, and there's a hair. Okay, so we're gonna... There's some condensation in that bottle. That's weird. I don't think I had this in the sun. Well, hopefully it didn't hurt the ink too much. Oh, he's already got a ring on there. That's good. So, ooh, well, that's lovely. Let's see. Ooh, get down in there. So far I'm liking using this pen. Do I feel like it's picking up more ink? I kind of do feel like it is. I don't know if that's true or if it's just my perception because the nib is bigger. I don't know. Robert Oster. And what did we say this was? Peppermint? Peppermint. This is very pretty. I was thinking this would be a good ink for Christmas, a nice green for Christmas. But also March, St. Patrick's Day. It would be a nice ink for St. Patrick's Day, although I don't really think of it as a St. Patrick's Day kind of green. I think of St. Patrick's Day as kind of a bright, springy green. Oh, now this swatch is looking different from the writing. And as usual, it's feeling very dry. Oh, Robert Oster, what are you doing to us? It's hard to get the ink to come off on the paper. What's up with that? Yep, we're just going to get blobs. Now this is in stark contrast to that Dragon's Night, which if you'll remember just ran straight across the card. But this one is definitely... Oh, you know, I did this little swatch with a toothpick before. I just kind of scraped some ink over there, so I'm going to ink it again with my Q-tip, so it'll look a little bit nicer. But yeah, this is definitely one of those dry Robert Oster inks. Very pretty, though. So, yeah, he might be improved by a little bit of white lightning. Or I've heard recently that you can use a little dab of dish detergent. Who knew? All right, this is Diatramentis, Thomas Alva Edison. Ooh, I need to have a sip of my terrible coffee. Okay. Whew, it's pretty bad. I think I've mentioned before that I like my coffee to be black, black, black. Super black. Black like a black hole. So black light cannot escape. And then, with sugar, I dumped the nib way too far down in there, and now I'm trying to shake a little bit of the ink off of the nib, because the ink does seem to like to stick to this big glass nib. Although I suppose if you wanted to write with it, it would be good, because it would hold more ink. Okay. So what did I say? This is Diatramentis. Diatramentis. Thomas. And we'll just say A to save space. Edison. Wow. Well, I hate to waste all the ink on my nib. So I'll just rub some on the card here, although that's not working very well. Yeah, can't really do a swatch with the nib. Oh well. Well, let's see. This is another pretty burgundy. And much wetter than the Robert Oster. The Q-tip is just gliding across the card. So that makes me think that your pen would just glide across the page. But I don't feel like that would be true with the Robert Oster inks. So, I don't know. I don't know why their formulations are so dry. They're beautiful colors. Maybe they make them dry because it's easier to make an ink wetter than it is to make an ink drier. I don't know. I don't know that much about ink chemistry. Oh, This is a sample that Sarah sent me from over at Fountain Pen Insanity. This is Noodler's North African Violet. And I swatched this in my little pen notebook, but I haven't actually made a swatch card for it yet. So this will be fun. This is such a pretty ink. Ooh, you know, this is kind of like a more intense version of mascara. Well, no, I guess mascara is a little bluer. But still, this is a beautiful purple. Alright. Woo. Getting a lot of ink on that nib again. This is Noodler's North African Violet. And that is just flowing very well off of the nib. Ooh, it's so pretty. I just love purple. So many pretty shades of purple out there. Let's see. Need a Q-tip. And somebody commented on one of my older videos that North African Violet is very water resistant. So I won't mess around with that today, but that would be something fun to play around with at some point. Ooh, this one's a little squeaky. Let's see if we can get a drip. It seems like a nice flowy ink. I mean, the glass nib was very smooth when I was writing with it. I've never tried to do a lot of writing with the glass nib. I've only ever used them for samples. So if you've ever used a glass nib to, you know, write a letter, write in your journal, let me know what that experience was like. Alrighty, very nice. Thank you, Sarah. I love it. Okay. Next up we have Noodler's Liberty's Elysium. I'm pretty sure that I have already swatched this. I think I have ended up buying multiple samples of this from Goulet, because this is the Goulet exclusive ink, and I think I have a completely full vial of this. I don't have a bottle of it. I haven't bought a bottle yet, because I'm still not sure if I want to get a bottle of it, but I think I have a full sample vial. I mean, you know, like 5 milliliters, and I think this was an extra one, because this doesn't seem very full. Well, it's probably about 2 milliliters. So I'm going to put him aside in my repeat rack, and I'm going to pick a new one. Let's see, who do we have here? See, I just have all of these bags of things. What is that? Well, we'll pick something out of this one. Ooh, some of them have yellow caps. Let's get a yellow cap one. That sounds exciting. Okay, so I'm not going to look at it. Oh, I have to look at it because that's the one that we're sampling. Oh, okay. So I will put a ring on him. I wonder why some of the caps are yellow and some are blue and some are just white. Maybe that's just the batch that they bought. Okay, this is Monteverde Sapphire. Again, I'm wondering if I have a bottle of this. I'm pretty sure I do, because I bought that set of blue inks. Okay, sorry dude. You're gonna go in the duplicate bin. Let's see. We'll get a different one. Okay, this is Monteverde Blue Velvet Cake. Okay, I've got that one. I was just looking in my ink cabinet and I said, oh, I have a bottle of... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm rattling. I looked in the cabinet and I said, oh, I have a bottle of Blue Velvet Cake. Okay, this is Montegrappa Green. I guarantee I do not have a bottle of this one because I don't have any Montegrappa inks. So this will be interesting to experiment with, to see what their inks are like. Ooh, wow, that's a nice vibrant green. Okay, and this sample came from Anderson. I do like buying from Anderson because they have brands that I can't find other places. Like Mont Blanc, except they're always sold out of Mont Blanc samples, it seems. And they do have generous samples. So this is, how are we spelling Montegrappa? Montegrappa. And what is that? Oh, it's just Montegrappa green. Okay. Green. That's very nice. Whew, don't break that nib. I have broken enough of them. Ooh, well, he might not have come clean the first time. Let's swish him again. We're swishing and we're swatching. But the good thing about these pens is, if you break one, you can just buy a replacement nib rather than a whole brand new pen, which is what I have done in the past. Okay. So Montegrappa. Oh, wow. Oh, that's beautiful. Montegrappa is a pen manufacturer, and like many pen manufacturers, they make their own ink, which they say is safe to use in their pens. But I don't have any Montegrappa pens, and I think this is the only sample of a Montegrappa ink that I've ever gotten. But that's very nice. And it seems to flow very well. There might be some shading there. Okay, we're going to let him dry and see what he looks like in the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I always seem to pause at 8 to figure out where we are. So let me do his cap. Okay. So I mentioned that I was participating in InCoWriMo, so I would love to know if you have participated in InCoWriMo, and if so, how you're doing. Okay, this is Rohrer and I think we all struggle over this name, Rohrer and Klingner solferino. I've heard great things about this ink, so I got a sample, but I've never used it. Oh, and my label's crooked. Hold on. Don't like a crooked label. Doesn't have to be perfect, just not ridiculously off. Okay. And this also came from Anderson. Now they have abbreviated the name on the card as R&K. So let me see if I can spell this name just from memory. And please forgive me if I spell it wrong, because I have a feeling that I'm going to. But that's okay. We all know what it is. So I know there's a roar. There's an H in there somewhere. Is it R-H-E-R? Rohrer? That doesn't look right. And I know it's Klingner. Klingner. Rohrer. Whew, that roar is not right. But that's okay. Oh my goodness. I just dipped this in the water. Can you see that? No, you can't see it. There's like an orange swirl in there. It's so crazy. No, you can't. It's not going to show up on the camera. That is wild. It's blue with an orange ring. Whew, crazy. Wow. And the orange is spreading down the jar. Okay, so we need a swab. Solferino. I wonder what that means. Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Very vibrant. Whenever I see a vibrant pink, I automatically think of two other inks, Yamabudo and cactus fruit eel. Is there a cactus fruit that's not an eel? I know the eel inks are extra lubricated, but I've seen Groen cactus and Groen cactus eel, but I've only ever seen cactus fruit eel. I've never seen cactus fruit by itself. Wow, very pretty. Okay, do his lid. And we will set him aside to dry. Oops, boy, my hands are just covered in ink today. Okay, so this will be our final ink for today. Robert Oster Jade. Ooh, that's a lovely green. Oh, and he's got a little condensation too. Gosh, did my inks get hot? That can't be bad. I mean, that can't be good. Oh, you know what? There's a vent under this table. I bet the vent has been blowing on the inks. That's not good. Okay, have to move the inks. Now I got to take the cap off. Alrighty. And this one is a Goulet sample. I've forgotten that fast what it is. Robert Oster Jade. Uh-oh. Robert Oster Jade. Seems like a kind of a pale springy green. Oh, this one might be good for March. Okay, so a couple of things happened while we were away. First of all, the camera cut off while I was swatching our final ink, Robert Oster Jade. I need to start setting a timer for myself so I know when the video is getting ready to cut off, because it won't go much over 30 minutes. And the other thing was, I noticed on the Rohrer Klingner sample, I forgot to write the name of it, solferino. So I got that sample out and I tried to dip my glass nib pen to get ink on it so I could write the name on the card, and I dropped the pen and it hit the aforementioned vent under the table and snapped that nib right off. So this will be our last swatching Sunday with this pen and this nib. I'll have to order a replacement at some point, but as long as I have the other one around, I'll be okay. But this is why, well, this one does have a cap. I guess I could have put the cap on in between, but anyway, so much for our blue pen with the bulbous glass nib. Alas. Okay, let's take a closer look at our inks for today. This is Noodler's Burgundy, and that is a lovely burgundy color. It looks like there might be a tiny bit of gold sheen around the dark area there. Again, Noodler's inks are not exactly known for their sheening properties, but you know, maybe if you got this in a really wet nib, you could see some stuff, but it's a very pretty color. Then we have Dragon's Night, and you can see from our drip that this was a nice wet ink. And this does have some beautiful orangey sheen. I like this ink a lot. This is going to have to go to the top of my wish list. My endless, ever-growing wish list. And then we have Ferris Wheel Press Grape Ice Pop. It's a, I don't know if I would call this purple. I think it's closer to burgundy. Now this does have a little bit of green sheen around the edge. But here's the burgundy and here's the grape, and they are close to each other, not the same, but again, I wouldn't exactly call that one a purple. It's a nice color, but I don't know if I would call it grape. Of course, grapes aren't necessarily purple. Some of them are red. Maybe that's a red grape ice pop. I don't know. Okay, here is Vinta mascara. I love this ink so much. It's so beautiful. It's kind of pink and purple and blue. It's just gorgeous. One of those multi-shaders. And there's another one that Vinta makes. I think it's called Mermaid or something like that. It has a longer name. I think that one's pretty too, but this mascara is definitely my favorite. And then we have Robert Oster Peppermint, which is a nice bright green. It could be appropriate for St. Patrick's Day. And it has some red sheen around the wetter areas there. But again, we did not get a drip out of this one. Very dry. Very different from the Dragon's Night, which ran all over the place. I just got some blobs out of peppermint. So, anyway, I've rambled about so many things. I don't remember at which point I got cut off, but I wonder if Robert Oster makes their inks dry on purpose so you can adjust the wetness yourself. Here is Diatramentis Thomas Alva Edison. And there's a faint sheen around the edge here, kind of a gold sheen. But this just seemed to be Burgundy Sample Day. And those are pretty close. I think the Noodler's Burgundy is a little redder, and the Thomas Edison is a little more muted, a little darker. All right. Then we have Noodler's North African Violet. Such a beautiful purple. I love it. And it might have a little hint of sheen around the edge there. And again, let's compare it to Dragon's Night. Two very pretty purples. And both seeming kind of wet. And the Dragon's Night, of course, has much more sheen. But very nice. Nice purples. And then we have Montegrappa Green. This is my first Montegrappa ink. And it seemed to flow very well. Of course, that was just on a glass nib pen. I'd have to get it into an actual fountain pen to see what it was really like. But very nice. And kind of close to Robert Oster Peppermint. So here's two greens you could potentially use for March. Or for Christmas. And then, of course, here is the Rohrer Klingner Solferino. I have misspelled Rohrer, and I forgot to put solferino. And then, in the kerfuffle, I dropped my glass nib and broke it. So, it's a tragic day. But it's a lovely ink. It has a lot of bright green sheen. Can you see that? Wow. So yeah, I'm wondering how this would compare with the Yamabudo or Cactus Fruit Eel. Very interesting. And finally, we have Robert Oster Jade, which the swatching of got cut off. But you can see this is a pretty springy kind of green. So again, this might be appropriate for your March or maybe for your April. Very nice. All right, so those are our inks for today. Thank you so much for joining me for another Swatching Sunday. And again, I never know what gets cut off when I'm filming, but I did mention about InCoWriMo that I succeeded. Woohoo! I've written more than 28 letters and or postcards this month, so yay for me and yay for you for whatever number of cards or letters or postcards you have sent out today. Each piece of mail will hopefully bring some joy into somebody's life. So I hope you have a great week, and I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.